everybody, welcome back to a drive with me. I thought that we would bring this little series back throughout September because I think I'm going to upload a couple of drive with me's, kind of with like different themes, different chats, different topics, kind of just like not weekly updates. It's definitely not going to be weekly. I'm probably only going to upload 2, to be honest, like fortnightly. But I just thought it'd be nice to just have a really chilled back, chatty drive with me. I used to upload drive with me's every week on my channel. If you guys remember that phase, that was about 4 years ago. I don't know how I had that much to talk about and how I had that much to say, to be honest. I thought it would be fun to just have a bit of an update. I asked for questions on Instagram and I asked for topics, and actually they were quite different to any I've actually had recently, which is always good. So as always, I thought we would head to Costa. I'm gonna get my favorite coffee, which I've actually changed my order this week, guys. Getting iced cappuccinos now. Don't know who she thinks she is. And I thought we'd just answer some of them, to be honest. So I've still lost my dash mount, so I don't really know like where that went. So it means I can't mount you to the dashboard. So whilst we're driving, I mean, let's see what happens to the camera. Let's set off. So far so good. Haven't actually like turned a corner yet. Oh. There she goes, there she goes. Right, I'm gonna move you. I will chat to you when we are at Costa.
Hi, Costa.
Hi, could I get a iced cappuccino, please? Thank you. No, that's everything, thank you. Perfect, thanks. We have the goods. I've come to sit in my regular spot. They built this Costa here like a year ago, and now this is where I film every single drive with me. So cool fact, you didn't ask. Also, look at how good the chocolate on the top of this cappuccino looks. Sorry. We are just gonna jump straight on into it, guys, and I'm gonna really vary it up. Some of it was like advice, some of it was assumptions, questions, that kind of thing. A lot of people were talking about university. Obviously unis start in the next like 2 weeks, I think schools went back this week, uni start next week, the week after that. A lot of people were saying, feeling really panicked about uni and if I've made the right choice. I'm living at home. Firstly, I feel like it's so normal to feel panicked, but I'm not gonna sit here and say that. I literally know how you feel. That was me for the entirety of the year. I really had major self-doubts. Like, I had huge doubts to the point where I nearly dropped out so many times, and you guys know that. Like, if you watched my channel at the time, I was very open about it. I actually think that's quite helpful, but it does make me sort of sad looking back on the time because I know how unhappy I was. But I didn't keep that from you guys. However, my issue was slightly different because my course was only ever for 1 year. I think if you're locking yourself into a 3-year course, the only way you're going to know if you've made the right decision is if you give it a go. And I don't think that there's any shame in like getting to Christmas and holding your hands up and going like, look, I tried this, it's not for me. I really think maybe I should take the rest of the year out, go again next September. Maybe if living at home doesn't work out, you can always move away the following year. Like, I don't think you should think of it as like I'm locked into this decision that I can't get out of, because of course you can, and like the people that care about you and the friends that you've made and like the friends that you've left behind kind of thing, they're not going to judge that, and if they do, they're not your mates. Like, I just think you don't know what's best for you until you give it a go, really. This is so nice. My boyfriend gets along with my sister too much. Should I see this as a problem? I think it really depends. Obviously, I don't have a sister, so I've not been in this situation. I think it really depends on the relationship and like if you think anything that's happening is crossing a boundary. If you do, which you obviously kind of do because you've messaged me about it, I think the best thing to do is to just speak to him and to have that like completely open conversation. I really think, guys, the best thing and the key to any relationship is like open up a narrative and make sure that you can talk about anything with each other, because if you can't, that's when you start to be like keeping secrets. You know, maybe you're looking at what they are together and thinking it in your head, but if you just said it, he might be like, oh, I didn't even realize that it looked like that, or like, don't be silly, that kind of thing. Or maybe if you think there is something in it, then you need to sit down and have a real chat about it. But yeah, I've never been in a situation like that, so I can't really offer like personal advice, but I really think the key is like conversation. These are so all over the shop, guys. I'm jumping around a lot. Also, this is the string of the camera. I'm very sorry about that. This one is not deep at all. Somebody said, what's your favorite musical? I think my favorite musical that I've ever seen is probably Chicago. I have such a soft spot for Chicago, the musical and the film. I absolutely adore. I think it's so just well written and the film is amazing. If you've not seen the film Chicago, you need to see it. I actually really liked Six. Tom and I went to see Six on the West End last Christmas. That was really good. Mamma Mia is the ultimate feel-good musical. Like, I will die on that hill. Like, that is the best feel-good musical. I think for my birthday I might go see Grease on stage. I think that could be quite fun. Basically, I just love the theatre. Like, I will go see any musical, any stage production, to be honest. Doesn't even have to be a musical. I really like a play as well. But yeah, probably favourite of all time is probably Chicago. Somebody said, when are you next travelling? I actually don't have any immediate plans, but there are things that are like potentially being lined up. But I don't want to jinx anything because some of them are out of my control, so we're kind of just playing a bit of a waiting game. But I do have a fairly big trip on the horizon, and I think if you've watched for a while you'll probably be able to guess, but nothing imminently. Do you or have you ever felt bored in your relationship? This is a good question. Obviously you guys know that Tom and I have been together for 5.5 years, coming up to 6 years, which is just insane. And I think that that is quite unusual when obviously we're only 22, 23, like that's quite young to have been together for so long. And there has definitely been patches where it's like, okay, well, this obviously isn't boring, definitely not, but like you go through lulls and like ebbs and flows, and like times where you see each other more, times where you see each other less. Something that's always kept our relationship quite like on its toes is that nothing is ever the same for too long. Like, obviously when we started out going out, we were in school, but then I moved to Leeds and Tom stayed at home, and then there was me in Australia and Tom at home, and then there was the lockdown, so that was a real like weird time, to be honest. And then we've been traveling together, so there's been like a lot of different sections of our relationship. It's not like we've been together for 6 years and we've moved in together and we've just lived in the same house for 6 years. Like, it has always been changing, and we've been evolving as people massively. So I think because we've both changed and grown quite a lot, it hasn't ever felt too boring. But there are definitely times where it's like a little bit less exciting, just routine, normal relationship. Like, that is so normal. And I think what a lot of people probably not get put off by, but like I have friends, and also I see it online and stuff, where once you get past about 3 or 4 months with somebody, it does start to get a little bit less exciting. You're not in the honeymoon phase anymore. The dates are like becoming a bit more of a normal thing. Like, maybe the nerves that you felt initially aren't there. That's so normal. But if you've never really got past that point, then it maybe starts to be like a bit of an off put. And I know that that's quite a common thing, because people get to like that sort of stage and they're like, nah, it's boring now. Yeah, personally for me, I've never really felt bored, but there has been times where it's been less exciting and like just day-to-day life. Does your mood become lower in the colder, darker seasons? Yes, 100%. I am summer through and through. I want to be an autumn person. I want to be the person that's like, I'm so excited for autumn, and like, don't get me wrong, I am, and like my birthday is in the next few weeks, really. And like, I love September and October, but once you pass October, probably don't speak to me until the end of March. Like, I'm just not in a good mood. And I don't want to go as far as to be like, oh yeah, it's seasonal depression, because like, I've never been diagnosed with anything like that. It's nothing that deep either. Like, it's just me struggling to be productive, struggling to feel motivated, being tired a lot more, being more lethargic. Like, I just think that living in England in those months is very bleak. You're getting so little amount of sunlight, and for me, I really feel as though I need the sunlight all the time. Like, I am so much of a nicer and better and healthier and more radiant person in the sunshine. I just am. This one, I actually got loads, and I was really surprised by this because I just not really thought about it, but so many people said, bit of a weird question, but how did you manage your period whilst you were traveling? What was it like traveling as a girl? Like, loads of things like that. Basically just about what it was like to have a period when backpacking. And to be honest, I think I haven't mentioned it because I didn't really think about it too much. Like, personally for me, I didn't find it too different really to having a period in this country. Like, so if that's something that you're like thinking would maybe put you off, definitely don't let it. Like, obviously all the women and all the girls in those countries also have periods. Like, the country is geared up for it. Like, I know you hear horror stories about, like, you know, the toilets in like Thailand and like, but really you're never too far away from a toilet if you're prepared and you're like taking precautions. I don't really think it's too dissimilar to being in this country, really. And I also think that if you're somebody that struggles with really bad period pain, personally I'm really lucky. I've never really suffered with period pain. I know that that's so lucky because I know so many girls that like takes them out for like a few days out of the month. If you know that's you, I think you can just allow that sort of like ebbing and flowing into your travel schedule. Like, if you know that you need to have 3 days where you're just going to be a little bit out of action, or it's going to be like affecting you a bit more and you'd rather just have a few days in bed or a few days chilling, like definitely just allow that into your travel plan. I think that obviously if you're on a super strict schedule, like, you know, it's going to be a bit more difficult, but if you're traveling for a longer period of time, you definitely have a bit of wiggle room to be like, yeah, I'm not going to be feeling too great, I'm just going to have a day like in the hotel, in the hostel. If you wanted a bit more privacy, it would be a perfect time to book like a private room or even just a hotel to be like, yeah, I'm going to just pamper myself, I'm going to have a few days. The only thing I will say is there are a few countries that don't sell tampons very easily. Like there's like period sections in all the supermarkets, but tampons are just not on the shelf. Just do a bit of research, do a bit of googling, and like maybe take more with you if that's something that's going to bother you, because they were harder to come by in some countries, so that is something to bear in mind. What's your diet now? Are you fully vegetarian? Yes, I am. I've been fully vegetarian for about a year and a couple of months, because for the first 5 months of being veggie, I did still technically eat fish, but I only ever ate fish probably like once a month when I like got fish and chips at the beach. So I say I've been veggie for nearly 2 years, but like technically I was pescatarian for like a few months. And then I had fish and chips one day and it just really grossed me out. Like I was eating it and I was like, yo, this makes me feel sick. Like this is an animal the same as a chicken is an animal. And it was kind of like one of those not really very nice fish and chips where it was kind of grey and looked a bit scaly like when you cut into it, and I was like, no, we're cutting fish out too. But I have not noticed that, because I really did not eat fish. Like we're talking probably 10 times a year, if that, and it was like mainly just fish fingers, so I haven't noticed fish. Meat I don't miss at all. The only thing that I'm still not 100% on all the time is there are a couple of things that are technically not vegetarian that have gelatin in them. Super strict for myself. It started out as like a, oh, can I be veggie for a month? And then I was veggie for a year, and now I'm like, well, I would never eat meat. So yeah, it's definitely becoming more of a thing. Like when I'm out now, 9 times out of 10 I will just order off a vegan menu. There's been a few instances where I'm like, oh, that probably wasn't veggie. Backpacking was difficult because there was a lot of language barriers, and I told you the story in one of the vlogs where we ordered vegetarian spring rolls and they were duck, and I bit into it and I was like, this is not vegetarian, this is meat. And I was like, oh, I ordered this off the vegetarian menu, and the guy was like, oh yeah, it's vegetarian, it's duck. But because duck is white meat, in a lot of the countries we were traveling in, they didn't class that as like meat. To be honest, like loads of places gave me chicken and they were like, yeah, it's vegetarian, because it wasn't red meat. So it was just a little bit of like, you know, explaining and like being okay with it when it happens. But well, I didn't eat any of it at all. Anyway, to answer the question, yes, I'm vegetarian. I love this question. What Taylor Swift era do you resonate the most with? I want to say Reputation, because it's like bad bitch, sassy, everything is like kind of petty, kind of dramatic. It is a fire album, but if you actually listen to it, it's probably her most romantic album. Like it's actually just a love letter disguised as like revenge and bad bitch energy, and I love it. But I don't think it is my personality. I actually think, contrary to what I've just said, I probably am in my red era, because 1, I'm 22, and 2, I am here for like the autumn vibes, but just not the winter vibes. But also, I'm fully in my midnight era, because I cannot stress to you how excited I am about this new Taylor Swift album. I'm fully in that era without it even starting yet. Like, I don't know a single thing about what that album sounds like, but you better believe I've already ordered it on vinyl. I'm already converting my whole personality to that album. A lot of people asking this. How to get over an ex. He's actually got a new girlfriend after just 1 month. I can't really offer helpful advice on this either, but so many people are asking about how do I stay friends with an ex, how to get over an ex. Me and my boyfriend have just split up before university. Should we stay friends? I feel pressure to stay with my boyfriend when I'm going to uni. So many boyfriend related questions. Obviously, I don't really have an ex-boyfriend that I can speak from experience about. Like, I actually did have a boyfriend before I was with Tom, and if you've been here for a very long time, maybe you remember that. I kind of hope you don't, just because that entire phase on YouTube just gives me the ick. I was 16, I think. Was I 16? Yeah, 15, 16. Young. I was very young, but I didn't feel young at the time. And then also like a couple of like ex things, you know, when you're not with somebody and we were never a couple and nothing ever even happened, but then it's like that was also a thing. And obviously I've seen most of my friends go through breakups, some of them really very bad breakups as well, where it's been like, yeah, this is not good. But answering the question, how to get over an ex, I think time and distance. Like I mean actual physical distance between you if you can, but if not, block them on social media or mute them at least if you don't want to cause any beef. Try not to interact with anything that they're doing. Don't ask other people about them, because I definitely made that mistake. Like when I was first like single, I hate saying this because I'm like, in my head it doesn't even count, but like, I guess it was a thing at the time. I would then ask people that I knew them and be like, oh, so like, what's he up to? Or like, what's he doing? Where's he going to uni? Things like that. And like, you don't need to know that. You just don't. I think, yeah, put as much space between you as possible. And then honestly, I think time is the biggest healer. Like, the longer that you are without somebody, the more it becomes like, oh, that was a while ago. Oh, that's like kind of, I'm healing from that. Similarly, on that one, somebody said, do you think you can stay friends with an ex? I think people can, but I think there is a line between, oh, we have no bad blood, no hard feelings. If I saw them in the street, I'd be like, hi. But that's not friendship. That's just like acquaintance, amicable, no bad blood, you know what I mean? And I think that that's the level you should aim to be at, and I feel like that's how I am with everybody in my life. Like, I don't feel like I have bad blood with anybody, but it doesn't mean that I necessarily like them or that I'm friends with them. And if I saw my ex-boyfriend in the street, I would speak to him 100%, but I wouldn't say that we're friends. Like, I think that there's definitely a difference. And I also think then if you get into a relationship in the future, or if they get into a relationship in the future, it sort of does make it a little bit complicated if you're like, oh, this is my new girlfriend and this is my ex-girlfriend, and it's just a bit like, however, I'm sure it does work. And I definitely think that it also depends on how old you are and things like that, because, well, again, I do know people where it has worked, so, but again, I think friends and acquaintances are two very different things. Somebody said sixth form advice. This is a good one, because again, I know sixth form is starting this week. I cannot believe that it has been 6 years since I started at sixth form. My brother told me a fact the other day that made me feel sick. And he said, oh, the current year 7s that are about to start this week were not born when I started at high school. And that made me feel old. I'm joking, and I always get comments whenever I say anything like this, being like, I'm 32 and still feel like 18. And to be honest, you're only as old as you feel. Like, I'm kind of capping at 22. Like, yes, I'm gonna turn 23 next month, but mentally, I'm staying 21, 22 forever. What was the question? Sixth form advice, right, well, that went off, didn't it? I did not have the best sixth form experience. In fact, the 2 years that I was in sixth form were probably the 2 hardest years of my life. It's very weird. It was such a split because I obviously got in a relationship with Tom. My YouTube channel really took off. I had a really solid group of friends around me actually at the time as well, but I was really just not happy. I don't want to say I was bullied, like that's so extra, and I definitely wasn't, because I've seen people be bullied and it's so much worse, but like picked on, I think would be the phrase. I hate talking about it because it just makes me feel like I'm trying to like play the victim card. Definitely not. But also, I would be lying if I said I had a really smooth sailing at sixth form, because I really didn't. So my top advice would be true to yourself. Don't try and change because now all of a sudden you're a little bit older, you're maybe at a new college, you've got new people. I think it's a very influential time to like maybe get in with the wrong crowd. I think don't do that. Stay honest with yourself. Be who you are, because I think it's a really influential time in terms of making friends as well. So you want to make friends with people that like genuinely like you for you, also are quite similar to you maybe, and like, you know, it all tends to happen just circumstantially, like you don't really think about it. And I did have a really lovely group of friends in sixth form, and I think that I was very lucky because, you know, those people had my back, and if you can find people like that, it definitely helps your whole experience. But also I think have a good time, have fun, because it goes so bloody quickly. Go to the parties on the weekend, go on the school trips that they run. I think just take all the opportunities that you can, because when it ends, that's when real adulthood kind of starts. And yeah, okay, you're going to be spending a lot of time gearing up to go to university, but don't put too much pressure on yourself, because that's not where you're at just yet. You still have a little bit of time before that to just enjoy yourself and like be 17 without the stuff that comes with being 18 and being 19. So that would be my advice. Take all the opportunities, try and have the best time that you can. Be true to yourself, and don't put too much pressure on yourself as well. Like, there's a big wide world out there, and there's so much more to life than academics, and sometimes sixth form will not make you feel like that. So yeah. Hair loss, how is the situation going? Okay, good question. If you saw my vlog a couple of weeks ago, I spoke about how my hair has been coming out in like literal handfuls. It doesn't really look it, and I know that it, my car has a mind of its own, I swear. The door's just locked without me doing anything. Yeah, it doesn't really look it because naturally my hair is really quite thick and really quite curly, but obviously I can tell because it's like my hair and my head, and like when I plait it and when I put it in a ponytail, especially when it's straight, you can see, to be honest, that it's like a lot thinner than it was. So I went to the doctors to have some blood tests, and I updated you guys in the vlog about that, and they prescribed me B12 and iron. I've been taking them for around 2 weeks now, and luckily I seem to be getting on with them okay, because the last time I got prescribed iron, when I was about 15, my body really did not get on with it. Like, my tummy was not good, and also it made me feel really nauseous. Like, one of the main side effects of strong iron tablets is just basically like stomach upset. But this time that hasn't happened, touch wood. So far, so good. Don't really have a massive update. I think basically my hair just goes through like hormonal patterns where like every couple of years it comes out a lot, and like if this is going to be a thing my whole life, then fine. But if iron is something that like I'm obviously lacking in and I'm obviously deficient in, then I'd rather just take it all the time. So yeah, so far getting on with the iron tablets pretty okay. Okay, somebody said, how are you finding the gym? So if you don't know, I joined the gym about a week and a half ago now. I have stuck to it. So far I've been to the gym like 4 times each week, so like, but mainly to do classes, and I'm definitely finding that I get on with them a lot better. So today I did body combat. I mean, I actually haven't really been able to move properly since I started. My whole body is like, what are you doing? But in kind of a rewarding way, like not in a, oh, I've overdone it way, just in like a, oh, I'm actually really unfit and haven't used these muscles for a long time kind of way. So yeah, I'm sort of enjoying it. I don't want to say I'm loving it, but like, it's been a week and a half and I've stuck to it. And sometimes it doesn't last that long, so like, progress? Okay, I think I'm going to end on that actually, guys, because I'm rereading over the rest of them that I haven't answered. A lot of them are quite the same. A lot of them are to do with boyfriends and to do with relationships, so I think I'm going to end it there. I hope you have enjoyed it. I've just finished my coffee, so this was very well timed. Thank you so much for watching. If you do have any other questions, let me know down in the comments below if it's something about what I've spoken about here. I also am going to add, I didn't get an autumnal drink today because I might film a trying the autumn menu at Costa and Starbucks, or one or the other, I'm not sure yet. So if that's something that you want to see me do, maybe with my brother or maybe with Tom actually, let me know. Other than that, I am gonna go. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up if you have, and I shall be back on my channel on Saturday with a weekly vlog from everything that I've got up to during the rest of my week. And guys, I've been autumn homeware shopping this morning, so if you want to see a little autumn homeware haul, that's coming in the weekly vlog on Saturday. Bye guys.